In question 5, it shows us a bit more of information where we have the flow of blood in various parts of the human body and also lungs infected with bacteria. The same amount of blood was taken from blood vessels PQRS of an individual with healthy lungs and another with lungs infected with bacteria. If you look at the question information that is given to us, that bacterial infection of the lungs will cause it to perform gaseous exchange less effectively. So we can use this and infer how does it affect gaseous exchange, or how does it affect the human body? It will mean that there will be less oxygen that is absorbed into the blood. So we can use this information and find the right graph to show the amount of oxygen in the blood samples. This question can be a bit tricky because for all the options, they have different pairs of blood vessels that are compared. So we can look at option 1 here first, where I think this is the most wrong answer, where you find that regardless whether if it's a person with healthy or infected lungs, the blood sample amount of oxygen in the blood sample doesn't really change. So that's not true for this. At the same time, blood in P, where it's just flowing into the lungs, this should be carrying oxygen poor blood. Whereas for Q, this is oxygen rich. So we should find in blood vessel P more oxygen in the blood than that of Q. Next one that we can also eliminate is option 3. Same reason as well, that we find that Q, which is blood vessel that is straight out from the lungs, has no difference in the amount of oxygen absorbed. We went through the concept why this is not true already. So 3 is not the answer. Then we are left with 2 and 4. So 2 and 4, we have to look at the different pairs of blood vessels that are being compared. So for Q, for example, for option 4, for example, you find that Q and R, the amount of oxygen in these blood vessels, Q, which is oxygen rich, and R, which should be oxygen poor, they have the same amount of oxygen. And that's not true. Then we can double check and see whether option 2 is the correct answer. If you're comparing P and S, P, we know that it's oxygen poor. S for here, it should be oxygen rich blood. The amount of oxygen carried in S, it is greater. So we can put a tick. And comparing to a person with infected lungs, where less oxygen is absorbed into the blood, we should find that between the same 2 blood vessels, the amount of oxygen in it will also be less. So with that to confirm, the answer should be option 2.